What effect does a new government have? Which direction are they aiming?
Look, we've been very pleased, as have others in the sector. The new government has very clearly got a strong interest in international education. Our new Minister, Christopher Pyne, the Minister for Education, has been signalling for many years in opposition his commitment to international education, and we see right across a range of portfolios ministers who understand and recognise that Australia is good at delivering international education and that we as a country benefit enormously from having international students study alongside our own sons and daughters at school and in our tertiary institutions. So the government have signalled a real interest and a willingness to support the sector. We'd like to see them do more for a few more providers than the 22. I was fortunate last year to sit on the International Education Advisory Council, chaired by one of our leading business people, Michael Chaney, and we made a number of recommendations to the former government about how they can nurture and regrow our international education sector. Very pleasingly, the new government have also signalled their interest in implementing those recommendations. So I think it's a start of a new beginning for Australia. The universities and their partners are already seeing student numbers increase and a return to interest in studying in Australia.
So what did you recommend and how was the feedback?
We made a range of recommendations, and I think one of the crucial ones, which sounds a little odd but will make a very big difference, is a ministerial coordinating council for the sector. Within Australia we have some 4 or 5 different national level ministers as well as state and territory ministers, all of whom have responsibility for international education. Trying to get all of those different people and agencies aligned and working in the one direction has proven a challenge in previous years and has contributed to some of the challenges that the sector has faced. So we anticipate that the new government will shortly announce the formation of a council with responsibility for international education. Peak bodies such as ACPET will sit around the same table talking to ministers. Departments will go away and do work on initiatives to support international education and be reporting back not just to their minister but in fact to the whole of the government. We're also expecting that state and territory governments will have a role at the same table with the council, and really that will put Australia in a very strong position, all working uniformly to attract students to Australia and ensure the highest quality of education and training provision. There were a range of other recommendations that we made, including the extension of streamlined visa processing for low risk, high quality institutions, a review of the genuine temporary entrant criterion, which has been quite a problem for students and educational agents. Its implementation was poor and it didn't serve Australia's purpose well. There are other recommendations around the quality of education and training being delivered in Australia and more support for Australian institutions to partner and work offshore. So lots to do, and really keen to see that council set up and get started.
So you mentioned offshore locations. Are there any specific locations on the horizon?
Yes, I think there's a very keen interest, obviously, given Australia's geographic location, in offering more opportunities, particularly in the vocational education and training sector within Asia. There are only so many students who can come to Australia, and yet one of the things that sets us apart is the strength of that vocational education and training that we offer. A number of commentators and researchers talk about how important Australia's vet sector has been for our economic prosperity. The vet sector covers 80% of Australian industries. It delivers training, qualifications and competencies for most of of our workforce, being able to take those training opportunities into Asia, into countries such as India, Indonesia, Vietnam, China and others. And there is very strong interest from those governments. I was in Indonesia just some weeks ago at the APEC CEOs Forum, and a number of leaders from countries across the Asian region were talking about high rates of youth unemployment, that despite them having very strong higher education systems, what they've recognised that they need as their economies grow and develop is a stronger vocational education and training system. It's obviously something that the Germans and the British also have a history in, and it's something that Australia is starting to capitalise on. So one of the things I'll be doing when I get back to Australia is packing up my suitcase again and joining an Australian government mission to India. We have a strong partnership between the Australian and Indian governments, supported by institutions like ACPET. I'll be taking a number of our institutions with me for meetings with Australian government officials. There's a very large Australia-India Skills Conference, and crucially meetings with Indian companies who are looking for Australian training to build the capacity and capability of their workers to that next level. So plenty of exciting opportunities for Australian providers working right across the Asian region, and keen to be a part of that.
Thank you so much for coming, Claire, and sharing this information with us and our audience. Thank you.
Pleasure.